And welcome back to Blankenship Field, getting set for the fourth game of the 2022 season. The Wildcats and the Farragut Admirals, a longtime rivalry. 48th meeting between the two schools. The captains are out on the center of the field. The Wildcats tonight represented by Brandon Hayward along with Elijah Israel and Brian Kelly. Turning our attention to Mr. Mike Sheehan and Alex Myers. Guys, your thoughts on this rivalry and this big ball game tonight?
Yeah, Dave, it's a big rivalry, and growing up in the early mid 2000s, I think of three teams really as big opponents for Oak Ridge, big games, and it's not Clinton, it's not Lenoir City, it's Farragut, Dobbins Bennett, and Riverdale, and this is that sort of echelon of programs when you look back over the years. And so when the Admirals on that with that star on their helmet, when they're at Blankenship Field, typically it's a really good game. Mike, you've seen a lot of these. What do you think of when you think of Farragut?
Well, it's always a highly contested football matchup when we play the Farragut Admirals. I really enjoy playing this team. They've always given us a hard time. It seems like it's never a blowout, and sometimes the games go right down to the end, just like last week's Clinton game did. I look for a really good matchup tonight between the Admirals and the Wildcats.
The Wildcats are coming down the steps here, the 72 steps, hopefully to glory here tonight at Blankenship Field. The Oak Ridge High School Band is out on the field with the combined Jefferson and Robertsville Middle School bands. The national anthem has been played. The Oak Ridge student section is getting fired up. You can hear the train whistle in the background. You can hear the fans in the upper levels, the lower levels, on either side here at Blankenship Field. And you know what that means, Alex Myers. It's football time in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Absolutely, David. There's not much like it as Oak Ridge is in their gray uniforms tonight, and you just watch. And I just took a picture from up here in the booth, David. There's not much like it. Just never gets old watching the Cardinal in gray trot down the 72 steps.
You know, the issue, once again, this particular ball game is going to be that Elijah Rogers, Jai Hundley, Jaden Williams, you know the guys, the five starters that were still without. Connor Cummings comes to mind. Wildcats have got to overcome like they did last week against the Clinton Dragons.
Yeah, they did. And Mike, this was a game that last week it was a tough game. It tested the emotions, tested the endurance. One of the closer games around we've seen in that rivalry in quite some time. How does Oak Ridge come back after a game like that and continue that success?
Well, it's just such a big rivalry, and they know how much it means to win these ball games. Even though this is not a regional matchup, it's big for community pride. It's a big game here against the Farragut Admirals tonight. And I love the way the Wildcats, they wait now till the Admirals are already on the field, and then that way the Admirals have to watch the Wildcats come down the steps and come through this L right here, and it's a lot more exciting for the Wildcats to come out late than early.
Coach Cummings told me on the TV show this past Wednesday that he almost considered taking a penalty against the Clinton Dragons so they would have to watch us come down. Wildcats didn't have to do that. The band is off the field. We're just moments away from the kickoff of this ball game. The Wildcats of Oak Ridge and the Farragut Admirals. This will be, as I mentioned, the 48th meeting between the two schools. And while I have an opportunity, I want to tell everybody that we're broadcasting part of our broadcast from tonight's game, courtesy of Carmen DeLong's Treehouse. Carmen DeLong is running for Oak Ridge City Council in November. She'll be shopping tomorrow at the Farmers Market in Jackson Square and every Saturday morning, and we'd love to meet you, and we appreciate her. The Wildcats will be kicking off, and that, guys, has been a weapon for the Wildcats all season long. Brennan Pearson's kickoffs have pretty much gone into the end zone almost every single occasion.
Yeah, he's a guy who you can just about set your watch by it. If he's kicking the ball off from the 40, it's going into the end zone. And you mentioned, especially when you get to playing teams like Farraguts of the world, the Wests of the world, these teams that have got a lot of dangerous athletes that could do something special with the ball in their hand, that's a tremendous advantage to not have to kick the ball off to them.
And we're about to get set here. The Wildcats will be kicking from right to left here as you're looking down from the home side. The kicker, as I mentioned, is Brennan Pearson, and he'll be kicking with his back to Jackson Square, and we're about to get set. The Admirals have two guys standing with their heels on the goal line on the north side of Blankenship Field. The Oak Ridge student section making a lot of noise. The officials are set. The clock is set to 12, and we're about to get underway our second home game of the 2022 season. The Oak Ridge student section just making a lot of noise, continuing to yell as the band continues to play. The fans are on their feet. The whistle blows, and here's the approach by Brennan Pearson. Here it is. He hits it well. Not as deep, but it is going to go and be fielded at the 1, to the 5, to the 10, to the 15, to the 23-yard line, and that is where the Farragut Admirals will take over. First down, 10 yards to go. The Wildcats, Blake Steed makes the stop for the Oak Ridge High School Wildcats, one of the few times, and it went right to the 1-yard line, guys, and they have the ball at the 22-yard line.
Yeah, the Wildcats got on him pretty quick. David got out to the 23. The Wildcats, good tackling on that kickoff. They're not used to having to do that because Brennan Pearson usually kicks it through the end zone.
Quarterback is Luke Johnson. He is 5'11", 165-pound senior quarterback. going to throw on first down. The pass is low and picked up out of the dirt at around the 29-yard line. The catch is made by Landis Davila, 6'2", 190-pound wide receiver. It'll be a gain on the play of 6. Second down, well, maybe 5 yards to go. The ball officially put down to the 29-yard line. Big hit here at the 47-yard line. Big stop again by Brandon Hayward. Brandon was the guy who made the fourth down stop in last week's game in the win at Clinton, which kind of sealed the game for the Wildcats. Big play there by Oak Ridge.
Another loss for the Admirals. It brings up now second down and 13. Wildcats trailing 7-0 with 3:38 left here in the first quarter.
Up to the line they'll come. Two receivers split to the right. The quarterback is Luke Johnson. Elijah Gibbs in the backfield. A little pass out of the backfield, swung out there, and the tackle is made by the Wildcats at around the 42. So it's back close to the original line of scrimmage and maybe a yard beyond. Nope, they're going to say it's exactly the 43. So it'll be for Farragut. Third down and 10 yards to go. Clock is moving. 3:09 to play in the first quarter in a 7-0 ball game.
Brian Kelly and Izzy Mitchell there on the
Once
stop
again.
for the Wildcats, David.
Two receivers split to the left. Third down, 9 yards to go. 2 minutes, 54 seconds and counting. Ball's resting right at the 42-yard line. They're going to officially say it's third down, 9 yards to go. Three receivers split to the right. Quarterback in a lot of trouble. Eludes a sack. Fires a pass in the flat. Is incomplete. Wildcats came in really, really strong there. Wildcats came in with Galloway and a host of other gray shirts. The quarterback was able to elude the first wave and then was able honestly to get free. It'll be fourth down, and it looks like they're going to bring the punt team in.
You know, Jordan Shepard almost gathered that ball in for the Farragut Admirals. It got in his hands, but it was real low, and he couldn't hang on, so it falls incomplete. And hopefully the Wildcats are going to get the ball back right here. Amani Rembert and Brandon Hayward back deep for the Wildcats.
Fourth down, 9 yards to go, 2:39 to play, and play is halted. A timeout is asked for by one of the two schools. Let's take a quick break. We're on FM 92.7, FM 94.7, prepradio.com. We'll be back to Blankenship Field following this 30-second timeout. Seven to nothing is our score. 2:39 to play here in the first quarter. Wildcats of Oak Ridge trailing. Farragut in punt formation. Fourth down, 9 yards to go. Wildcats have a couple guys standing back at the 10. They will punt. The punt is away. It's a high end-over-end kick. Fair catch is signaled for and fumbled inside the 10-yard line. And guess who's got the ball? Farragut. So that's the second time that has happened to an Oak Ridge punt returner, and the Wildcats turn it over inside the 10. Wildcats shooting themselves in the foot here in the first quarter.
I'll tell you, that was just unfortunate right there. I mean, it hit him on the shoulder pad, bounced into his hands, and then fell to the ground, and the Admirals were right there on top of it. This is not good. Very unfortunate for the Wildcats. These fumbles were killing us, David.
Right, we had the fumble on the sack, and then that one was just a fair catch inside the 10-yard line. I think what he should have done is just let it go, because it was going to go inside. When you're inside the 10, you just try to let it bounce in. It'll be first and goal for the Admirals. Ball is at the 7-yard line. Quarterback's going to hand it off to the running back. He cuts inside and moves the ball across the 5 to the 3-yard line. You just cannot have the mistakes that the Wildcats have made here in the first quarter and win against good teams.
Yeah, between the penalties and the fumbles, we're just not having a good first quarter.
It'll be second down, goal to go for the Admirals. The ball's at the 5-yard line. Luke Johnson looks back to his sideline for the play. 7-0 our score. They scored on their opening drive. The Wildcats had stopped them just a moment ago, but fumbled inside the 10-yard line. High snap, handoff. Nope, handoff is going to go to the running back, and he moves the ball to the goal line and then push back. They're going to say his forward progress officially will be right at the 3-yard line, where it'll be third down, goal to go at the 3-yard line. 1 minute, 35 seconds to play. We're in the first quarter in a 7-0 ball game. The Wildcat defense trying to make a stand here. Wildcat defense has been pretty stellar all season long for Oak Ridge. The Wildcats giving up only 14 points yesterday, or last week, I mean. It'll be the Admirals quickly coming to the line. Third down, goal to go. Handoff to Gibbs, touchdown. Into the end zone untouched. They started with a wide formation, then all of a sudden they ran to the line, got close together, and the Wildcat turnover results into another score. And Farragut, like that, has a 13-0 lead. Not a good start for the Wildcats here in the first period.
No, and David, it's not going to look good for the defense on the scoreboard if you just now tuning in, but this defense has done a pretty good job outside of a few plays. The problem is with the turnovers, you can only do so much. Eventually, a team as talented up front as Farragut is going to make you pay.
The extra point is up, and it is for the Wildcats. Good. The Admirals hit the extra point. 1:09 to play here in the first quarter. So far, the Admirals looking good. They are on top of the Wildcats 14-0. We'll be back with their kickoff in 60 seconds. Welcome back once again to Blankenship Field. The news is not pretty, at least here early. Wildcats are down 14-0. The Wildcats will take over at the 20-yard line after the Farragut kickoff once again went into the end zone. The Wildcats were able to move the ball on their opening drive, got it first and goal, the 8, and then went backwards, then fumbled, then Farragut scores a touchdown after another fumble. 2 turnovers in the ball game. Wildcats hand it off, running the ball straight up the gut. Good run across the 30-yard line for a 10-bank of Oak Ridge first down is Almani Wimbert, I believe, perhaps even Brendan Hayward. It'll be a 10-bank of Oak Ridge first down. Ball is at the 32-yard line, 50 seconds and counting in the first quarter, 14-0 Farragut. The Admirals have the lead. That's the Oak Ridge Wild Band playing down in front of us. Wildcats with the backfield split, 39 seconds to play in the first quarter. First down, 10 yards to go at the 32-yard line of the Oak Ridge Wildcats. Pass is going to be caught at the 36-yard line, and I believe that could be the final play. Whistles blow, and we might have we'll see. Clock is stopped with 27.8 seconds. Marker down on the play. Alex, not a great start for the Wildcats.
No, that official called a sideline warning, so now both teams have got one. The next time they're called, it's going to be a penalty either way. But yet, like you said, David, no, not a good start at all. And really, your offense has done some nice things. Your defense has done some nice things. But a 0 on the scoreboard, and you're down 2 touchdowns early because of the turnovers. And that's simply the reason. You cannot beat yourself, period, but especially when you're playing a team as good as Farragut is.
Second down, 6 yards to go, or final play of the first period. The Wildcats with, 14 seconds on the play clock, 9 seconds to play. Peyton Sharp at quarterback is going to hand it off to Dozier. Dozier moves the ball for a first down across the 40-yard line, officially put down at the 42. That should be another 10-bank of Oak Ridge first down. Stumbled forward. If he had caught his balance there, Alex Myers, he might have taken it all the way into the end zone, and that is the final play of the first quarter. Not a great start for the Wildcats. We're going to take a break. We're on FM 92.7, FM 94.7, prepradio.com, and I believe we're streaming the game live on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. 14-0 Farragut. We'll be back to Blankenship Field in 60 seconds. First down, 10 yards to go for the Wildcats. The Wildcats now heading towards Jackson Square. The ball is at the 43-yard line of the Wildcats. Oak Ridge trying to get back into it. They're down 14-0. A couple turnovers have hurt the Wildcats badly in this one. As Sharp's going to roll to his right, hand it off. Wildcats move the ball forward across the 45 up to around the 47-yard line. The ball carrier is the Javis Dozier once again. Gain of about 4. Second down, 6 yards to go. The ball is at the 47-yard line of the Wildcats. 11:40 to play here in the first half. Alex?
The Wildcats are moving the ball on what looks to be a pretty stout front on both sides of the football for Farragut. But this defensive line, Oak Ridge has had the running game going. They just got to be able to finish these drives after they start to move the ball.
Second down, 6 yards to go. Movement on the line. Wildcats, this is their third procedural penalty called against them here in the first half. They have 2 turnovers, and it's really hurt them. I mean, that's all you can say. Is they're going to step off 5 yards against Oak Ridge back to the 42-yard line. It'll be second down now. Second down and 11 yards to go. Down 14-0. 11:14 to play here in the first half in front of a big crowd. Once again, back-to-back games here at Blankenship Field. Last week's game, just a tremendous crowd with the Clinton team here. Second down, 11 yards to go for the Wildcats. Back at the 43-yard line. Quarterback Sharp's going to pass it out here to Rimbert. He tries to make the catch, and a shoestring catch, and he moves the ball up to around the 47-yard line once again. That's Rimbert once again, and we expect some good things out of him. But it's going to give the Wildcats a 3rd and 7. The Wildcats trying to go a little quicker right now, but a nice catch, though, by Amani.
Yeah, it was a really good catch. A lot of concentration as he was starting to get into full gear while he was trying to reach down nearly to the ground to catch that. A nice play from him, nice concentration. 3rd and, we'll call it medium here, about 6, as you said, David. Interesting to see as Oak Ridge only has 1 wideout to the left, 1 wideout to the right. A couple of backs in the backfield next to Peyton.
Third down, we'll call it 6 yards to go. Peyton rolls, wants to go deep. There's the man. He's wide open. He makes the catch, and he's inside the 15-yard line. The Wildcats, beautifully thrown pass, but they're going to say he dropped it. It looked, initially, they had it all the way. But obviously when he came down with it, Brandon Hayward couldn't hold on to it. Nice pass, hit him right in the hands. He just couldn't hold it.
And it was pretty good defense by Farragut. To be honest with you, if Peyton had that to do over again, he probably would have put a little bit more on that because it was just a touch underthrown, which gave the Farragut defender a chance to kind of get in between there. I think, the ground can't cause a fumble. but it can cause an incompletion. And as you said, I think he had it as he came to the ground, but I think the ball just got jarred loose. It was great coverage, pretty good pass, and a great effort from Brandon. Just unfortunate it couldn't complete it.
Here's Pearson's punt. It's an end-over-end punt. It's going to go rolling and all the way down to inside the 10-yard line. One thing that Pearson has in the first ball games, obviously he's got just a great leg for sure. Directional punting is something he needs to work on and try to get those coffin corners out of bounds. This one does go through the end zone, and they'll take it over at the 20-yard line. He's got a great leg, but I think the next thing at the next level, he's going to have to work on directional punting.
Yeah, he is. He's going to have to work on just being a little bit more consistent tonight. We've seen him just doesn't quite look like he's not to say he's not 100%, but he just doesn't look quite himself. He's not striking the ball clean, if you will. I'm sure Coach Kelly will try to get that straightened out. It looks like we got a little bit of a clock issues. The clock's continuing to run, so we're going to have to get this thing reset, David. But like you said, just nothing for Oak Ridge it's like every facet, offense, defense, individuals, special teams, it's just a tick off. It's close to being good, but there's always, it seems like in this game so far, it's just a touch off from being where Oak Ridge needs us to be to convert.
First down, 10 yards to go. The ball at the 20-yard line. The Oak Ridge band continues to play. Student section in big numbers. The Wildcats are trailing 14-0. 9 minutes, 11 seconds to play. They scored on their opening drive. The Wildcats had them stopped on their second drive, but a fumbled punt return inside the 10-yard line, and they took it in for their second score. We'll have a complete scoring summary at halftime with Mike Sheehan. First and 10, Farragut. They're moving with their backs to Jackson Square. Handoff goes to the running back Gibbs, and he's kind of squirting forward, moves the ball across the 25-yard line up to around the 26 or 27-yard line, where the stop is made there by the Wildcats. It'll be Blake Steed there on the stop amongst others. Gain of 6 on the play. Second down, 4 yards to go. Quarterback for them is Luke Johnson. I mentioned he's 5'11". Their running back, they list him at 5'8", 165 pounds. They had a running back several years ago named Gibbs. I meant to ask if he was related to, this young man was related to him. Great running back for them years ago. Handoff goes to the back. This time he's going to try to, actually the quarterback didn't get into the, across the 30-yard line before Brian Kelly makes a stop. I was fooled by the handoff. That'll be Luke Johnson carrying it for a first down up to the 34-yard line. 8:47 to play. First half, 14-0. The Wildcats trailing the Farragut Admirals. Last year, turnovers were a big factor, and with the same kind of situation, I think a blocked or a dropped punt hurt the Wildcats last year, setting up a score for them. They've got the ball at the 34-yard line at Farragut. 8:28 to play. Johnson to pass. Pressure goes across the middle. Pass is going to be complete at the 50-yard line. Wildcats really playing back, giving a lot of space to that receiver. There was a good 8 to 10 yards between Izzy Mitchell and the receiver, and they've got it at midfield.
Landis DeVille there on the catch for the Admirals, David. He got wide open out there in the flat, and he caught that pass and got it down for another first down for the Admirals, almost to the midfield marker, exactly on the 50-yard line.
First down, 10 yards to go. The Wildcats already down 14-0. Wildcats getting pressure on the quarterback, but he delivered a nice pass. Handoff to the running back, trying to go wide on the Farragut side. He tries to turn the corner and does. Up the sideline. Wildcats kept trying to spread it out here and try to cut him off on the corner, but he was able to turn that corner, get the ball across midfield, and officially go out of bounds, or close to out of bounds, at around the 43-yard line of Oak Ridge. It's a gain of 8 on the play. Second down and 2 yards to go. 7 minutes, 43 seconds to play here in the first half. The Admirals, once again, with 3 receivers split to their left. One lone running back, that's Gibbs. Johnson at quarterback. Man comes in motion, sets up in a slot on the left side. Handoff to the back. He's going to pass. Pass is incomplete. Finning on the play out there was Davis for the Wildcats. It'll be for Farragut. Third down and 2 yards to go, guys.
You start to wonder if this might be 4-down territory. They elected to punt the last time they were in this position around the 40-yard line. If they don't get this third down, at the 42-yard line, just needing to get to the 40. You wonder if they might try to go for it.
Ball's at the 43-yard line of Oak Ridge. Third down, 2 yards to go. The Farragut leads the Wildcats 14-0 here at Blankenship Field. Handoff to Gibbs. Oh, the quarterback's going to pass it. He's got a completion right around the sticks, right around the 40-yard line. Depending on where the spot is, I think he might be about a half a yard short. And they spot the ball. He had to get to the 40, and I think he's a foot away from the 40-yard line, which will bring up fourth down and a yard to go.
If that. I mean, he may be, just a few inches, a mere 3 or 4 inches away from it. David, is that ball is nearly touching the 40. They are going to go for it on fourth. We saw a power formation earlier on 4th and goal. This time, they're in the shotgun.
Johnson, a quarterback, a high snap. Boom! Big stick in the backfield, and the Wildcats make the stop, and they'll take over on down. Big penetration there by the Wildcats.
Mike, you're looking up here from the booth with me. I'm old school. You're older school than me. I've never understood and will never understand getting in the shotgun when you need your running back to fall 2 inches forward. Mike, what do you think about that?
I know it, and I tell you, Balachon Nall just jumped right in there and got a hold of him before he could even get a hold of the ball, really, and had him by the weights and tackled him. And the Oak Ridge is going to take over on down. What a big defensive stand by the Wildcat.
And the Wildcats need to take advantage of it here. They've gotten the ball back. The defense has played, I think, pretty good right now. Now the Wildcats offense has got to respond, trying to make it a one-possession game, perhaps going into halftime. 1st and 10 Oak Ridge at their own 43-yard line, heading towards Jackson Square. New quarterback is Ethan Garza in the ball game. The pass is complete to Rimbert once again. Garza getting his first taste of varsity action for the Wildcats.
It's always tough to come in there. And you saw him warming up with Coach Vonce Henderson, just throwing the ball, getting repetitions, taking some snaps. And this is always a tough spot to go in. But, you're playing almost with house money if you're him. Coming in, your team is already down a couple touchdowns. Hey, if you can come in and move the ball, even get 3 points, you've done your job, and you've done better than what the offense has done previously this game. So you're playing a little bit with house money.
Second down, 10 yards to go. The ball at the Oak Ridge 43-yard line. Handoff goes Dozier. Dozier moves the ball to the 45-yard line. Tackle to that point where it'll be third down facing the Wildcats. I guess it was Wednesday. Peyton Sharp, starting quarterback for the Wildcats through the first 4 ball games, had to leave practice with flu-like symptoms and was just not feeling well, and that might be one of the reasons why that Ethan Garza is in the ball game right now. We'll ask Coach Cummings after the ball game. Big third down play for the Wildcats. They have it 3rd down and 8 yards to go. Ball's resting at the Oak Ridge 45-yard line. Ethan Garza with his first taste of varsity action. Did not play at all last year, and the Wildcats need 8 to pick up a first down. Once again, high snap. Garza fires a quick pass. It's going to be incomplete. Intended out there to the Wildcats' Izzy Mitchell is a bullet pass, just a little bit too high, and the Wildcats will be forced to punt. So Oak Ridge gets a stop on defense, but once again the offense unable to get things going.
And that pass, even if it was caught, it was a nice effort, I believe, by Izzy Mitchell to try to come down with that one. It just never had a shot. Even if he catches that, he was having to extend for it, falling to the ground, and he was several yards short. The only thing you can hope right here maybe is Brennan gets a nice punt, is able to pin him back, and you can sort of play field position right here, maybe try to get something before halftime if you can get a quick stop on defense.
4th down, 8 yards to go. Here's the punt. It's wobbly end over end kick. It's got to be returnable, and they're going to move the ball up to around the 25-yard line. Straight right down the center of the field there. Not very high, especially for Brennan's standards. 5:11 to play here in the first half. 14-0 the score. The Wildcat defense has been quite solid. There's Bryce Dorsey there on the stop, incidentally, on the play. The Wildcats defense needs to get another stop here. Oak Ridge has all 3 of their timeouts remaining here in the first half. Farragut used one of theirs. Farragut leads the Wildcats 14-0 as we play here at Blankenship Field. Next week, the Wildcats right back here taking on the Lenoir City Panthers in a region ball game. First down, 10 yards to go for Farragut. The ball at their own 26-yard line. Gibbs in the backfield for Johnson, and he gets the handoff, and he moves the ball right up the gut. He's stood up and tackled by Bryce Davis right at the yard line, moving the ball for a gain of about 5 yards, guys.
I tell you, the defense really played great that time. They got right on it. Bashan Knowles again on the tackle for the Wildcats. Good penetration by the Wildcats for a short gain. Brings up now second down and 5. Wildcats trailing 14-0. 4 minutes and 40 seconds left here in the second half.
Johnson to pass, in a lot of trouble, nearly sacked, goes across the way, pass is going to be intercepted. Dallas Front's got it. He moves the ball to the Oak Ridge sideline, pushed out of bounds, and around midfield. Dallas Front on the interception and back
Dallas
onto the
Front
field
there
from
on
the
the
Oak Ridge
interception for the
Wildcat offensive
Wildcats,
unit.
David. Excellent play by him, and the Wildcats get the ball back with plenty of time here in the second quarter. 4:27 left. Wildcats inside Farragut territory on the 49-yard line.
And David, I don't want to let
4
the moment
minutes,
pass up
27
without
seconds to play in
mentioning
the
a
first half.
defensive.
The Wildcats need to get into the end zone. They've got to get their offense going. 4:27 to play first half, and here they come back out on the field once again. Wildcat quarterback is once again Ethan Garza. His second series as quarterback for the Wildcats. Javis Dozier is the running back. The Wildcats have Presley, Mitchell, and Hayward split to the left, one lone man far to the right. First down, 10 yards to go, quick pass. Wildcats make the reception across midfield. After the reception, it's going to be up to the 45-yard line. That's Izzy Mitchell on the catch for the Wildcats. Plenty of time, Mike and Alex. 4:15 to play in the first half. It'll be for the Wildcats, second down and 7 yards to go.
And I don't want to let the moment pass up. That was a great interception by Dallas Front. But that play was caused, I think, the arm motion of the quarterback for Farragut. I didn't quite catch the number, but one of the Oak Ridge's interior defensive linemen hit the arm of the Farragut quarterback as that ball was coming out. Nice play to set his defensive back up for an interception.
Second down, 7 yards to go. High snap, straight drop, firing down the left side. Passes overthrown, incomplete. Garza's got an arm on him. You can see that. Alex Myers, you can see he's got an arm at that time, just a little bit overthrown once again to the freshman Will Presley. Wildcats faced with third and long again.
Yeah, Coach Cummings very frustrated after that one. He was trying to communicate to the quarterback something. I don't know if he was trying to say give it another second or what, but he let that ball go. It's a pretty looking ball, but he did not have enough air under it. And again, like you said, another third and long. It seems like we've just seen this over and over again.
Ball is at the Farragut 46-yard line. Ethan rolls to his right, has some running room, looks to throw, fires a pass. It's going to be, I believe, is incomplete. A low pass that time, couldn't be dug out at the 35-yard line. And once again, here comes the punt team. The Wildcats, I thought Ethan at first, Alex, was going to run the ball. He had some running room over on the Oak Ridge sideline, saw his receiver come open, then just a little bit underthrew him.
Yeah, it was a little bit underthrown. Looking at Brandon Hayward's body language, it's one I think he thinks he probably should have come up with, and maybe he should have. It would have probably been a first down. It would have been a tough play to make, but again, you're setting yourself up for failure on these constant third and longs. Oak Ridge has to start getting some more success on first and second downs.
Here's the punt by Brandon once again. This one's going to go sailing inside to the 5-yard line. He goes bounding around the 3 or 4 yard line, and mistake that time by Farragut.
Yeah, they got tackled by 2 or 3 different Wildcats. It was a host of Oak Ridge players down there, and like you said earlier, typically coaches will say maybe they give you the 8, but around the 10-yard line, you plant your feet and you don't let the ball go over your head. If it goes over your head, you don't get it. You let it bounce and take your chances with it rolling into the end zone. Farragut right there, the up back caught the ball about the 2-yard line, and he went backwards, and Farragut's got it inside their own 1-yard line. This could be a momentum-shifting play, David, if Oak Ridge can get some interior pressure and maybe get a couple of points.
Grace and hope there on the
They have been able to get pressure tonight. They're going to come with a very tight formation here. Quarterback's going to hand it to the back, and he's going to break free across the 5 up to the 6-yard line, push back at the 7. Wildcats, they came with that, and that's how they scored their touchdown. They came with that really tight formation, and he just kind of bounces it in there. It's a good gain on first down up to officially the 8-yard line, where it'll be for them 2nd down and 2. So big first down run for the Farragut Admirals.
And they took their speedster out. The one bad thing about that is if you bring all that pressure towards the line of scrimmage, you no longer have to get to the 2nd and 3rd level. It's really just one level to break through. Oak Ridge fortunate they nearly got a long gain out of that one.
I think we're going to have a procedural call here against the Admirals. We'll check the penalty. We're down to 2:50 to play in the first half, 14-0. The Wildcats trailing the Farragut Admirals. Farragut scoring on their opening drive. The Wildcats had it at one point, 1st and goal at the 8-yard line. And the way the body language of the Wildcats, I thought initially was going to be against the Farragut Admirals, but it's going to go against Oak Ridge. Penalties and turnovers have really, really hampered the Wildcats' effort here, and they had them pinned back at the 1-yard line there, Alex, but now they've got a first down at the 13, but still a lot of time, 3 timeouts to go. The Wildcats could use a big stop to just kind of slow them down here on this first down play. 1st and 10 at the Farragut 13. They're going to pass to the sideline, and right now with 2:28 to play, the clock is stopped.
Whether, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, David, it's like whether it's on offense, whether it's in the defensive backfield, whether it's special teams, Oak Ridge is just not quite there. It's just like they're a half a tick off. Again, Hayward nearly comes up with a great defensive play, but he's just a half a step late getting there. Farragut's timing has been really good.
They gained 6 on that play. Now they move the ball out to the 20-yard line. Gain on the play of 1. It'll be 3rd down, I believe, 3 yards to go, depending on where they spot the ball. 2 minutes to play in the first half. The Wildcats are down 14-0. The last team to shut out Oak Ridge were the Farragut Admirals. The Wildcats had gone for years without being shut out, and Farragut was the last team to do that. The Wildcats have a full half of football to go, trying to get the ball back here. It's 3rd and 4. Ball is at the 19-yard line. Minute 39 to play. Clock is down. Play clock down to 11. Farragut not in any hurry. Quarterback Johnson to pass. Swings it out of the backfield, and it's incomplete. So the Wildcats do get a stop. That was a nice play, but I guess he took his eye off the pass there, Alex. It's incomplete, and the Wildcats are going to get the ball back.
Yeah, the Admiral didn't look in sync that time, David. The receiver did not even act like he was going to try to catch the ball. Elijah Gibbs, it hit him in the shoulder pad. He didn't even know it was coming. So that's going to have to be a punt for the Admirals to the Wildcats. So we are going to get the ball back. But there's only a minute 32 left in this half.
Here comes the punt. It's high, very high. Brandon Hayward's going to field it and move towards the Farragut sideline and go out of bounds at around the 36-yard line, and that is where Oak Ridge will take over 1st and 10. Wildcats, guys, haven't been able to move the football. Do you take some gambles here? You're down 14-0. You got a full half of football to be played. You're going to get the ball first in the second half. What do you do here?
I think you got your youngster in there at quarterback. He's inexperienced. And Ethan Garza, he's a junior, but this is his first real meaningful playing time in a big rivalry game. I think you take your shots, but I think first you either give him something easy, a quick screen, something to get a Rembert, a DeJavis Dozier, something involved, maybe even just a draw to try to get your offense in a little bit of a rhythm, and maybe on 2nd down you set yourself up to take a deep shot because you got to get Brandon Hayward involved.
3 receivers for the Wildcats to the right of the quarterback, Ethan Garza. Will Presley to the left. The Wildcats hand it off to Dozier. Dozier bounces it outside. If he can turn that corner, he can't get his balance, and flag goes down. We might have a face. They went right into the pile. Could be holding, but just where it went in, the Wildcats were kind of down on the ground, and we'll check the call. He moved the ball to the 40-yard line. I haven't seen the official signal what it is. He's going to come over to the sideline and say it is personal foul against Oak Ridge, I believe. I think maybe holding.
Yeah, I think they're going to get the near side wide receiver who was just making an effort play trying to get his block for Dozier because, it's hard because that's not where that ball was supposed to end up. So if you're the receiver, you're kind of looking at the side of your face mask and going, oh, shoot, here comes the ball. Let me try to continue to hold this block. And just a little too much jersey, I believe, on that one. Now all of a sudden, David, still got a minute and 13 left, but now with the young, inexperienced quarterback, it's 1st and 20. you don't want to do anything that would kind of be a fatal mistake here and potentially put yourself in a situation where you could be down even more going into half. It'll be interesting to see if Coach Cummings, if he goes conservative and goes safe, or if he tries to try to stretch the ball downfield.
Two receivers split to the left. Garza back to pass all day. Now rolls to his right. Fires it to the sideline. Pass is going to be caught right around the yard line, but they're going to lose a yard on the play. 48 seconds and counting. Wildcats going backwards on that one. It'll be second down, 16 yards to go. The ball at the 29-yard line. The Wildcats up to the line quickly, but I don't know how quickly they want to go. Coach Cummings not too happy there on the sideline. Three receivers to the left. The Wildcats, second down and long. Garza is going to hand it off to Dozier, and he's going to be blasted. Brace the tackle, 40, 45, 50. Moves the ball to the Farragut 49-yard line where another flag is down. We might have a block in the back or a hold. We'll have to wait and see where it came down. Looks like it's probably going to be against Oak Ridge. There's only 18 seconds to play. Dozier, how do you get out of that mess?
Another holding penalty on the Wildcats. They're going to negate that wonderful run by Dozier that time, David. Very determined run. I, like you, thought he had him at there close to the line of scrimmage. He broke loose and made another 12-yard gain after that, but all for naught because the Wildcats flagged for holding.
Penalties, turnovers have been just terrible for the Wildcats here. It's going to be 2nd and 9, and it looks like the Wildcats are going to be content to head to the second half down 14-0. We're down to 8 seconds to play. Time for one play here, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. Will they even get it off? Ethan Garza at quarterback, drops back to pass, fires a pass to Hayward. He makes the catch, breaks the tackle. He's at the 50, at the 45, at the 40-yard line, and he is tackled. No time on the clock. Wildcats let so much time get off the clock. They do complete the pass for the first down, the Tim Bank of Oak Ridge first down, but the Wildcats didn't get the play off until about 3 seconds to go. And then Ethan just looked for whoever was open. It was Brandon. Brandon just kind of looked back at the quarterback. He delivered the pass, made the catch, made a nice run, got a nice run up the field, but there just wasn't enough time.
No, there wasn't. And the crazy thing is, David, it was a shoestring tackle that kept Hayward away because he made the first man miss. There was a great block from the far side receiver. Hayward did a great job as the ball carrier at that point getting around that block, and he had one man to beat who made a diving tackle, a very good tackle, because there was nobody in front of Hayward, and nobody was going to catch him if he didn't make the play. Unfortunately for Oak Ridge, he did, and Oak Ridge goes into the half trailing by 2 touchdowns.
Hey, tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by courtesy of Carmen DeLong's Treehouse. You might see the Treehouse, which is located on the visitor side around midfield, just across the field from our home side, Blankenship Field. Carmen DeLong is running for Oak Ridge City Council in November, and she wants everyone to know she'll be shopping tomorrow at the Oak Ridge Farmers Market here in Jackson Square, and every Saturday morning, and she would like to meet you. Carmen DeLong running for Oak Ridge City Council. We have reached halftime here at Blankenship Field. It hasn't been pretty. The Wildcats are down 14-0. Penalties, turnovers, and a lack of offense really have hurt the Wildcats. The defense, you have to say, has been pretty good. We're going to take a break. We're going to send it back to Brian Bennett back in the studios of FM 92.7, FM 94.7. We're also streaming the game live on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. We're on Channel 15 as well. 14-0 Farragut at the half. We'll be back with a look at the scoring summary, and then a bit later, we'll have Mark and Shauna's first half statistics. 14-0 Farragut. We'll be back to Blankenship Field in 3 minutes.
Between the fumbles and
Welcome back to Blankenship Field.
The Oak Ridge High School Wild Band performing down on Blankenship Field in front of a beautiful crowd here. The crowd has been really loud and vocal. Wildcat fans haven't had a whole lot to cheer about. That hadn't stopped the student section. They've been loud and proud. Wildcats find themselves down 14-0 right now as our Wild Band plays down here in front of us. The Farragut Admiral Band is here as well. Let's go back to Mike Sheehan. Mike, you've got the scoring summary.
Thank you, David. I'll go ahead and do the scoring summary. To start off with, the Oak Ridge Wildcats had some really tough luck, but Luke Johnson threw a 43-yard strike to Jordan Shepard. He eluded the Oak Ridge Wildcat defenders, ran into the end zone, and with 7:15 in the first quarter, the Admirals took the early lead, 6-0, and then Reese Kennery came in for the Admirals and kicked the ball between the uprights, and the Admirals led over the Wildcats 7-0. Then later on in the first quarter, 1:09 left in the quarter, after another Oak Ridge fumble, Elijah Gibbs ran one in from 10 yards out, put the Admirals up 13-0, and Reese Kennery came in and kicked the ball between the uprights. And just like that, the Wildcats trailed 14-0, mostly because of 2 fumbles and numerous penalties.
You know, Mike, if we sort of break things down here, when you look at Farragut in this game, we'll talk about things individually in the moments to come, but this Farragut team, having not seen them in person this year, comparing them with Farragut teams in the past, anything surprise you about their style of play or about their roster and how it looks thus far, or is it about what you expected?
It's about what I expected. They're just, Coach Eddie Courtney, his teams are very disciplined, and they run very good regimented plays. And they're not doing anything overly fancy, but, the penalties, and like I said, I hate to keep saying it, but the penalties and the fumbles are killing us, and we're playing good defense, really. I mean, that 143-yard play they had was just a good play by Farragut. Nothing really all that outstanding, and the Wildcats just can't seem to get offense going. Every time they do, they shoot themselves in the foot.
And let's talk about the Wildcat offense, because if you're just tuning in or missed a little bit of this, Peyton Sharp, the senior quarterback making his first start for Oak Ridge, the first game of the season, has looked pretty good, honestly, all season long. The offense made some mistakes. Maybe some of them were Peyton's. I don't think, definitely all of them weren't. And so I don't know. David said earlier in the week he wasn't feeling 100%. I don't know if it's that or it was performance was the reason why. But regardless of the reason, Peyton Sharp got pulled in that first half, about halfway through that first half. And then all of a sudden, now we've got a different quarterback. And so it's the junior for Oak Ridge, Ethan Garza. He takes over. The running game looks good as it did with Peyton Sharp there, but the passing game, still nothing going. What do you think Oak Ridge needs to do in this second half? Do you stay with Garza? Do you try Peyton Sharp again? What are your solutions? What are you trying here if you're Coach Cummings?
The main thing is we need to get the ball to Brandon Hayward, Izzy Mitchell, Amani Rembert, our playmakers. And, the running back, Dozier's playing great. He just hadn't had any – every time he gets anything going, seemed like something negative happened. The flags come flying, and then we dig ourselves a hole. We're always seemed like this, but especially in the first quarter. We were behind the chains the whole first quarter. It's very disheartening to see that happen. And, it's really demoralizing on a team to keep going backward all the time. I mean, we had the ball on the 8-yard line. I just knew we were going to score. Dozier was looking outstanding, and all of a sudden we hit a big bog, and then we're going backwards, and then we had to fumble the ball.
And if you're Coach Cummings, I think it's definitely down 2 touchdowns. You get the ball first in the second half. At what point will you start to worry and say, we can't sit here and run the ball? I know, obviously, to start the third quarter, you get to receive the kickoff first. Running game is still very much in play here, only down 2 touchdowns. At what point, though, do you start to go, we're going to have to get something passing? We can't just let time run off.
Well, we're down 14-0. We're going to have to get back in this game somehow.
Well, let's take a break. If we're going to send it back to the studio with Brian, if we'll take a 3-minute break here from Blankenship. When we come back, we'll have our first half stats with the great Mark Case. It's 14-0. Farragut on top of Oak Ridge.
Yeah, we're off right now. Yes, sir.
Welcome back once again to Blankenship Field, where at halftime the Wildcats are down 14-0. Wildcats find themselves in a hole. The Wildcats turnovers, penalties, we've talked about it, but as Alex and Mike and I have been talking about, still a full half of football to go, and a lot of things can happen. Wildcats are going to get the ball first, about 8 minutes away from the start of the second half, but the guys, you just cannot continue to shoot yourself in the foot.
Hey, you're absolutely right. And, it's a story of the game, and we're harping on it, but, it's one thing to harp on it, but it's reality. And so, hopefully in the second half, Oak Ridge can get a few more things going, particularly on the offensive end, more so than they did in the first half. Speaking of the first half, let's go ahead and take a look at the first half stats. Here's Mark Hayes.
Thank you very much, Alex. As you said, Oak Ridge on the downside of the half, trailing 14-0 to the Farragut Admirals. Look at the statistics first for Oak Ridge. They're led on the ground by Jovis Dozier. He has 87 yards, or rather 77 yards on 8 carries. Amani Rembert has 21 yards on 3 carries, and Peyton Sharp has carried the ball twice, netting -8 yards. So as a team, the Wildcats have rushed the ball 13 times, gaining 90 yards on the ground. Through the air, Wildcats starting quarterback, Peyton Sharp, he's 3 of 6 for 27 yards tonight. Also, quarterbacking for the Wildcats, Ethan Garza. He's 4 of 6 for 27 yards. Receiving for the Wildcats, Brandon Hayward leads the receiving corps with 2 receptions for 43 yards. Izzy Mitchell has 2 receptions for 7 yards. Amani Rimbert has 2 receptions for 5 yards. And Will Presley has a reception for -1 yard. So as a team, the Wildcats through the air are 7 of 12 for 54 yards. That's a 58.3% completion ratio. So as a team, as I said, Oak Ridge has 90 yards on 13 carries. They have 54 yards on 7 receptions for a total offense tonight in the first half of 144 yards. Wildcats have earned 5 first downs in the first half. They've been penalized 6 times for 40 yards. Time of possession for the Wildcats is 12 minutes and 56 seconds. Now looking at the Farragut Admirals, they're led on the ground by Elijah Gibbs. He has 59 yards on 9 carries. Ashton Uker has an 8-yard carry. Luke Johnson, the quarterback for the Admirals, has 2 carries, netting no yards. Speaking of Luke Johnson through the air, he's 8 of 12 for 74 yards. He does have an interception on the night, so his completion ratio is 66.7 percentile. Receiving for the Admirals, they're led by Jordan Shepard. He has a 43-yard touchdown reception. Landis Davila has 2 receptions for 22 yards. Hank DeVault, he has a 6-yard reception. Elijah Gibbs has a 4-yard reception. Noah Gunter with a 1-yard reception. And then Ashton Uker has 2 receptions, netting -2 yards. So as a team, the Admirals have 67 yards on the ground on 12 carries. They have 74 yards on 8 completions for a total offense tonight of 141 yards. They've earned 44 first downs. They've been penalized once for 5 yards, and their time of possession is 11 minutes and 4 seconds. So look at the team side by side. Rushing yards, Oak Ridge has 90, Farragut 67. Through the air, Oak Ridge 54 yards, Farragut 74. Total offense, Oak Ridge with 144 total offensive yards. Farragut has 141. First downs, Oak Ridge 5, Farragut 4. Penalties. This is the big difference on the night. Oak Ridge penalized 6 times for 40 yards. Farragut 1 time for 5 yards. Time of possession, even that's fairly even. Oak Ridge has 12 minutes, 56 seconds. Farragut, 11 minutes and 4 seconds. So as I said, Oak Ridge trails at the half to the Farragut Admirals, 14-0. And we'll be back after this 3-minute timeout.
Oak Ridge Solar Engineering, Oak Ridge Pharmacy, Oak Ridge Utility District, Portville, Tennessee, Cheryl Family Care, Tennessee Western University, the Real Estate Office, United States Army National Guard. Thank you for your sponsor.
David Clary back here along with Alex Myers, Mike Sheehan, Colin James, Drew Thomas, Josh Frazier, Alex Waraxa, Mark and Shauna Hayes. Brian Bennett back at the studios of FM 92.7. I was listening to a conversation just a moment ago, guys, between Coach Cummings and Peyton Sharp, and he told him he is going to go back into the ball game. Wildcats have got to generate offense here. They'll get the ball first.
And that's really interesting is if Peyton Sharp gets pulled for the first time in his career as a starter, and now a rare sight in the same game, the guy who got pulled is going to go back in. And Mike, it's going to be interesting to see how Peyton handles that from a mental standpoint. Does he kind of have his head hung, or is he going to keep his head high and just go out there with confidence and play some ball?
Well, he's a senior, and this is his fourth game. So, he's had a lot of experience, but he'll settle down, hopefully. And, things happen during the course of a game. This is football, and it does happen. And it's tough when it does happen, and it can get to you mentally. But I think Peyton can come back and play a great second half, and we can get back in this game.
And, David, I'm going to toss it back to you, but I've got to be a Grinch about something. I haven't done it yet, and so I'll do it. I always complain about having to put more time on the clock because the bands are on the field so long. Farragut's band didn't play. The Wild band has been off the field for like 12 minutes. Both teams were down here as the clock hits 0 warming up, but they still added 3 more minutes.
Alex, that is one of your favorite things to complain about. When I used to have Scott Munger, he used to always complain that the band didn't wear their uniforms until October. Jim Vines used to complain about such. Being a Grinch, you're just observing it, and things where I don't know why they do it. You're exactly right, though. There was a good 12 minutes left on the clock when the Oak Ridge band was done, but unfortunately they put more time on the clock, and it gives them a chance to warm up. It's not like they're having to come all the way from the high school at Farragut. They're just coming down the steps here, the Wildcats are, and then on the opposite side, they're just coming down the hill. Guys, what do the Wildcats have to do to get back into it?
We got to execute. That's the biggest thing. We got to get it to our playmakers, I said earlier. Amani Rembert, especially Brandon Hayward. We got to get it to our receivers. Get them the ball. Izzy Mitchell needs to get in the game. I hadn't seen him do much here in the first half. And, of course, Jarvis Dozier, he's playing a great game, and he needs to continue to play a great game. Give that ball to that young man. He can run it.
And I think for me, David, it's sort of to piggyback off of what Mike said. To me, it's just all about correcting and changing the things that you can control. You can't help if Farragut comes out and does what they want to do. That's on them, right? But what you can't control is being disciplined, not getting these penalties that are negating these good runs and these drives downfield, and, of course, cutting out the turnovers. You've got to control what you could control. Stop shooting yourself in the foot. If you do that, then you can turn some of these drives that end close to points into actually finishing with points. Is doom and gloom as things looked in the first half, David. You get the ball first to start the second half. If you go down, march down the field, and get a touchdown, it's a one-possession game with a quarter and a half to play. You're right back in this thing.
I agree 100%. We've had some drops, too. I mean, we didn't talk about that. I know, they haven't been the perfect passes, but we've had some passes that, in my personal opinion, should have been caught. And I'm sure Coach Vontae Henderson has had words with his receivers. Wildcats are back out on the field. They will be receiving the kick. The Wildcats trail at 14-0. We're on FM 92.7, FM 94.7. prepradio.com, Oak Ridge Schools, television, channel 15, and streaming live on the internet. As I mentioned earlier, next week the Wildcats will have their homecoming and Oak Ridge Sports Hall of Fame inductions. That'll take place here at Blankenship Field. It'll be a region ball game against the Lenoir City Panthers. We'll be on the air with our pregame show at 7 o'clock. The kickoff from Blankenship Field next Friday night, third straight home game against Lenoir City at 7:30. So the Admirals will be kicking from the Jackson Square side over towards the scoreboard to our left as we look down from the home side, and we're about to get set. Guys, any final comments?
Speechless, Dave.
That is a rare thing for Alex Myers and Mike Sheehan as well. Those two guys can talk and talk and talk. Well, anyway, here we go. We're going to start the second half here. The ball is put down on the tee. All of their kicks have been good ones, and we're about to get the second half underway. We appreciate you listening to our broadcast or watching it wherever you might be. And here we go. The
David,
second
I want
half
to
is
see a
underway
kickoff
right
return
now.
for a touchdown.
Hits it well. It's end over end. It's going to go sailing into the end zone, and that'll be a touchback. And the Wildcats will have it 1st and 10. Alex, why don't you set the line and the starters here in the second half for the Oak Ridge Wildcats?
Well, for Oak Ridge, it's going to be the big story is it's Peyton Sharp going out there at quarterback. Of course, at wide receiver, you're going to have Izzy Mitchell. You're going to have Amani Rembert and Brandon Hayward. And then at tight end, you're going to have Brandon Kelly. You're going to have Truett Tex on the offensive line down there with Nick Lucas, who's making his first start of the season. It looks like you've also got maybe Cannon Hickson and a couple others in their stances. It's hard to read the formation.
From the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Sharp is going to hand it off to Dozier. Dozier 25-30, 35-yard line, 32-yard line,
Wow.
fumbles the football again. And who's got it? Looks like
They
Farragut
got it.
again. They're signaling they do have it. Wildcats get a good run, start the drive, turn it over. You just cannot continue to shoot yourself in the foot. Dozier exploded out of there, got the ball, got popped. It picked up what was going to be a 10-bank of Oak Ridge first down. Then the ball squirted out, and the Admirals have their third takeaway from the Wildcats, guys.
Just unbelievable there. And as Mike Sheehan points out, John Duncan with the recovery. And the one guy who wasn't making those mistakes in the first half was Dozier. He was the guy that was making all the good plays that the penalties were hurting, and now he's the one with the mistake. Really tough break.
From the 33-yard line, handoff goes straight up the middle. Now he cuts to the outside, moves the ball to the 20, and pushed out of bounds to the 15-yard line. The Wildcat defense has got to be a little bit disheartened because they have, in my personal opinion, have played well the entire ball game, but the offense just continues to make mistakes and put them back out on the field. And right there, it looked like just an explosion, and they pick up a first down. They're knocking on the door once again, this time at the Oak Ridge 15-yard line. They lead Oak Ridge 14-0, 3 turnovers and 40 yards in penalties in this one for the Wildcats. Handoff goes to Gibbs once again. He cuts across the 13-yard line, tackled closer to the 10. That's Gibbs once again. Elijah Gibbs, 5'8", 165-pounder. The Wildcats, Brian Kelly there on the stop. Oak Ridge down 14-0. It's second down, 5 yards to go. Ball officially at the Oak Ridge 11-yard line. Shotgun once again for Luke Johnson. Looks back to the coaching staff of the Farragut Admirals on the sideline. Wildcats, 3 turnovers here, and one has already resulted in a score for them. The Wildcat defense needs to stop right here. High snap, handoff Gibbs. He moves the ball to the 6-yard line, straight up the gut running, and finished off by the Wildcats, Blake Steed, number 44. It'll be at the 6-yard line. It'll be for the Admirals, third down and a yard to go.
This is a dangerous spot because all of a sudden, Gibbs, who's already speedy and quick, looks like he has a little extra pep in his step. This Farragut offense, and Gibbs in particular, playing with a lot of confidence, knowing they've got all the momentum and have a chance to sort of almost start to salt this game away if they can convert.
Handoff goes to Gibbs. He tries to get wide. He does. He moves the ball for a first down. It'll be first and goal. Farragut at around the 2-yard line. He is fast. His brother played here. I was talking to Darren Osborne at halftime, and the Gibbs brothers have been a staple here at Farragut High School. The ball is at the 2-yard line, 10:15 to play, third quarter. Wildcats already down 14-0. The nightmare scenario happened. That happened for the Wildcats in the Bearden ball game where they fumbled on the opening possession. Handoff goes to the back, and he's in the end zone. That's a touchdown. So Farragut takes it in to take a 20-0 lead over Oak Ridge with 9 minutes, 59 seconds. So the second turnover resulting in another score as for the Farragut Admirals, and they'll go for the extra point. Guys, just tough luck. One of the Admirals was down on the play.
Yeah, and you say tough luck, and I don't want to be overly negative, but some things are luck. But when you've got a pattern, at some point it's not luck. You're causing harm to yourself, and occasionally balls can get bounced or tipped and go one way or the other. But it's a pattern here for the Wildcats. That's the thing, David. It hasn't been one play or two plays. It's been a plethora of them.
Plethora, that's a good word here. But, the only good news is that there's a lot of time left in the ball game. But we're down 3 scores here. Last time the Wildcats had a victory over the Farragut Admirals was right here at Blankenship Field back in 2019 when they won 21-14. They have won 3 consecutive games. They shut out Oak Ridge in 2017 over at Farragut. Wildcats still lead the series 31-16, but it used to be more lopsided than that. The injured Admiral is coming off the field. 9:59 to play. 20-0 is our score. It's unfortunate, guys, because we've had another fantastic crowd on here at Blankenship Field, and I know nobody feels worse than the guys out on the field. They're making mistakes. Obviously, nobody wants to turn the ball over, but the penalties will have to be corrected. I'm sure Coach Cummings will not be happy, but a lot of football to be played. They'll go for the extra point here after the injured player. Some movement on the line. Kick is on its way. A lot of pressure again. The kick is up, and it is good. 21-0 Farragut. The Admirals on top. 9:59 to play, third quarter. We'll take a break. We'll send it back to Brian Bennett. Back with the Admiral kickoff in 60 seconds.
For the Admirals, team for the Wildcats, number 3, Almani River, and number 13, Brandon Haywood.
And the kick once again goes sailing into the end zone, so the Wildcats will take over. First down, 10 yards to go. Guys, we've talked about our advantage in the kicking game. Farragut, as usual, has a good kicker themselves. Their kicks have gone into the end zone. Their punts have been good. One resulted in a turnover, but here we go. The Wildcat offense has got to get going here. They're down 3 scores.
And I think Mike said it best earlier. You've got to find a way to get the ball into the hands of Hayward. And although he fumbled, Dozier and Rimbert, whether that's getting the ball to him quickly in space and short yardage situations, or whether it's taking deep shots. But you have to get the ball in those playmakers' hands. And more importantly, David, you've got to take care of you. You've got to stop hurting yourselves offensively.
First and 10 for the Wildcats heading towards Jackson Square. It's going to be Dozier getting the handoff, moves the ball to the 20, to the 25, up to the 29-yard line, carrying for close to a first down run. The Wildcats, Javis Dozier had a blocker in front was Brandon Hayward, and Brandon a little bit slow getting up out of the pile. It's a gain of 9 on the play, second down and a yard to go. 9:37 to play, third period. Farragut 21, Oak Ridge nothing here at Blankenship Field. The Wildcats will get Hayward out of the game. He comes trotting off the field. The Wildcats will have Izzy Mitchell split to the right along with Rimbert. Here to the left side for the Wildcats will be, looks like Presley, number 11. The Wildcats have a tight end and a slot to the right. That's Brian Kelly. Wildcats will have it third down and a yard to go after that play, Mark. Or actually after that play, Alex.
That looked to be a screen pass, David, and it went nowhere. Just hit the receiver and fell harmlessly to the turf. Brings up now third down and about 1 for the Wildcats. Ball on the Admirals' 29-yard line. Wildcats trailing 21-0. 9:13 left here in the third quarter.
Wildcats have Hayward back in the ball game, a receiver to the left of the quarterback, Peyton Sharp. Wildcats need about 1 yard and 6 inches for a first down. They're at the 28-yard line, almost the 29. Man comes in motion. Dozier in the backfield, and the handoff goes to him. He's got a first down, just barely. 10 Bank of Oak Ridge first down as he falls across the 30-yard line up to the 31 with exactly 9:08 to play in the third period and a 21-0 ball game. As we broadcast here from Blankenship Field, one of our sponsors tonight is Carmen DeLong's Treehouse. And that's the treehouse that's located directly across the field here at Blankenship Field. Carmen DeLong is running for city council. And she's going to be at the farmers market tomorrow. And she'd like to meet a lot of Oak Ridgers and talk about the future of our city. First down, 10 yards to go. The ball's at the 31-yard line. 3 receivers split to the right. Actually, the man comes in motion. That's Brian Kelly. He lines up on the left side. Once again, the Wildcats will hand it off to Dozier. Dozier's got great running room. He's got a first down and more across midfield up to the 49-yard line. That's another 10 Bank of Oak Ridge first down. Nice blocking by the right side of the Oak Ridge line. First and 10 Wildcats.
And as Dozier was getting ready to get hit, he almost put his opposite arm over the ball just as an extra precaution. Nice job from Dozier right there. Great effort as always. Oak Ridge is going to bring their power package, and we've seen them do this. Even though they're at midfield, David, they're not afraid to mix it up and start bringing their power package in. Farragut's going to try to substitute to match. Well, let's see if Oak Ridge, with all that beef up front now with this big formation, let's see if they can move the ball.
7:55 to play here. The clock is down to just a few short seconds. They get the play off, and they're going to lose yardage on it. And nearly another fumble. The Wildcats barely got the play off as the clock ticked down to 0. Wildcats took a while to get that package in there, and they ended up losing a couple yards on the play. So the Wildcats get Pickens out of the ball game. So they wasted a lot of time getting those people in, and now they're exchanging them again, and they lost a yard on the play.
And it's not very often do these Oak Ridge running backs make the wrong cut, but with that formation, with all that strength up front, that play is not really designed to bounce outside, and he tried to make it go outside, and there was just nothing going. Brings up second and long.
Second and 13, loss of 3 on the previous play. Peyton Sharp at quarterback, back at the 48-yard line. Peyton's going to pass, a little quick pass on the Oak Ridge sideline for good yardage across the 45-yard line up to the 40. Officially, they're going to say went out at the 40-yard line. Nice play there by the Wildcats. Not quite enough for a first down. It'll be for the Wildcats. Third down and a yard to go. Down 21-0 with 6 minutes and 42 seconds to play here in the first half. The Wildcats desperately trying to get on the board. Wildcats have a new tight end in the ball game. That is Blake Steed. He'll line up in a slot to the left. Izzy Mitchell is to the left. Rimbert and Hayward to the right. The backfield, Dozier and Peyton Sharp at quarterback. 15 seconds on the play clock. It'll be third down and a yard to go. The ball at the Farragut 40-yard line. Wildcats have penetrated as far as the 8-yard line, but failed to score on that drive. Sharp, a lot of time ticking down here. Back to pass, goes deep. Pass is there. Man is there. Pass is incomplete. Down the sideline. Good coverage there by Farragut. It'll be fourth and a yard to go.
And that's a call, David, that you make knowing that you're in 4-down territory. I don't mind that. You take a shot there. You had man-to-man, one-on-one coverage. Credit to Farragut. They've done a nice job defending Brandon Hayward. That's not easy to do, and they've held him relatively in check. Now on fourth down out of the shotgun formation, let's see what Oak Ridge can do.
From the 40-yard line at Farragut, play clock at 16 seconds. Over to the sideline. Peyton has the play once again. 6:06 to play in the ball game. 21-0 the score. The Wildcats. Blake Steed comes in motion, stops in a slot. Hand it off to Dozier. Dozier stumbles forward and picks up the first down. Just barely once again. Dozier's good balance. Kept his legs driving, had just enough of balance to stay afloat, and the Wildcats have another 10 back of Oak Ridge first down.
Just sheer determination by Dozier, David, to get that first down. Really good push by the Wildcat line that time. It just enough to get the Wildcats the very needed first down as we have an Admiral down on the field.
We have another injury timeout for us here as the injured Admiral is being looked to. Let's take a quick break. 6:02 to play third quarter, 21-0 Farragut. Turnovers and penalties heard early. And, well, I guess we'll hold it here, Brian, because he's up on his feet. Had a great crowd here, still have a great crowd here. The Wildcats still have time, but they're down 21-0. They've got to score on this drive, most definitely, guys.
They definitely do, David. You know, they know it too. You know that. And Coach Cummins is doing everything in his power to make sure that happens.
Ball's at the 38-yard line of Farragut. First down, 10 yards to go. 21-0 Admirals. 6:02 to play third period. Next week, Oak Ridge and Lenore City. It's a region ball game next week, so it's a big one here at Blankenship Field. Hayward split to the left, single man to the right. Full house backfield this time for the Wildcats. Slot man to the left is Brian Kelly. And up goes to Rembert. Rembert has good running room. Moves the ball across the Farragut 30-yard line down to around the 29-yard line. Rembert with a nice carry and a fine gain. 5:40 to play. It'll be for the Wildcats. Second down at the 28-yard line. And Wildcats wanting to go for fast. Gain of 9 on the previous play.
Really nice job on that one from the right side of the line. Nick Dallas from that right tackle position. Brandon Kelly from the tight end position, sealing the hole, sealing the edge, so that run was there.
Nick Dallas graduated a few years ago as the handoff goes to Rimmer, and he is just blasted way back at the 39-yard line. The snap was not a good one, or it wasn't caught either way. It's going to be, once again, a big loss in the play. The Wildcats that time didn't turn the ball over, but became very close to it.
Excuse me, it was Nick Lucas, as I've been doing this a few too many years, apparently. I'm getting my numbers confused up. But, again, Oak Ridge very fortunate that there wasn't another turnover there.
Loss of 8 on the play. Second down, 18 yards to go. The ball's at the 36-yard line of Farragut. Peyton rolls to his left. Wants to go deep, dumps it out, pass is caught. Dozier, 30, 25. Dozier spins his way down to the 20-yard line. Nice play, nice catch, nice run by DeJavis Dozier. It's going to be third down, but initially he rolled to his left and then came back to his right. It's a gain of 17 on the play, third down and a yard to go.
Great, beautiful play design, David. He looked to his left, Peyton did. The whole defense looked left. And who is out to the right? The offensive line and DeJavis Dozier. Great play design, great setup, sort of offsetting that pressure Farragut's been getting from their offensive line.
Under 4 minutes to play in the third period. The Wildcats taking their time getting into the end zone. They've 3 scores down, but they're steadily moving the ball up the field, making plays. Man comes in motion. That's Blake Steed. Here comes Peyton, handing it off. Rembert. Rembert moves the ball with a nice little spin and juke inside the 15-yard line down to around the 13-yard line. 3:35 to play. Wildcats steadily moving the ball down the field. Look much crisper on offense. Once again, the Wildcats looking over the sideline. 3:26 and counting. Wildcats have it. Another 10 bank of Oak Ridge first down. Up to the line they will come, which is the Farragut 12. Wildcats had it first and goal, the 8. In the first half, were unable to score. The Wildcats trying to get on the scoreboard here. Peyton Sharp fires to the end zone. Man is there. Pass is incomplete. It'll be second down and 10.
He tried that play earlier in the first half when the Wildcats had it inside the red zone. He just basically have a route where Hayward comes inside like he's going to run a slant, and then last second cuts it back outside, almost like a half moon shape, starting inside, going out towards the back pylon. Hayward went for the back of the end zone, and that time Peyton's throw was more towards the front. Nice play. He was open, just couldn't quite complete it.
Second down, 10 yards to go from the 12-yard line. 3:06 to play. Third period from Blankenship Field. Peyton Sharp with Dozier in the backfield. Dozier 100-plus yards a week ago. And Peyton's going to fire a pass. Is caught. Needs a block. Tried to get a block. Didn't go far. Going to get around to the 8-yard lines. Gain of about 4 on the play. Brandon Hayward on the catch. It'll be third and about 6 yards to go for a first down.
And interesting to see what they do here. It's important to know that Oak Ridge can technically get a first down without scoring. They'd have to get to right at the 2-yard line. Ball at the 8 now. They're going to say 3rd and 7 to go here with 2:35 as Oak Ridge desperately needing a touchdown here, David.
2.5 minutes to play and counting. Play clock is down to 17 seconds. Peyton Sharp at quarterback. Gone most of the way. Ethan Garza got a couple of drives. The Wildcats with a man in motion. Once again, that's Brian Kelly. Sharp's going to hand it off left side. The Wildcats trying to turn the corner. 5, 4, 3, 2, and not quite enough for the first down. The Wildcats will have it 4th down, and looks like right at the, I guess, officially they're going to put it down at the 3-yard line. It's going to be 4th down and a yard to go, guys.
It's actually a pretty long one here. And interesting, Oak Ridge does not bring their power formation that we saw briefly earlier in this drive. They're going to stay in the same formation that got them there.
From the 3-yard line, the Wildcats, Peyton Sharp with Dozier in the backfield. Peyton tried to get him to jump off sides there, I think. 4th down, a yard to go. The Wildcats down 21-0. Peyton's going to pitch it to Dozier. Dozier at the 3-yard line, scoots towards the end zone, and is held out of the end zone. And it looks like Farragut will take over on downs, and here comes the Oak Ridge defense. The Wildcats, second time they've been inside the 10-yard line. Second time they've been denied.
Yeah, they pitched it out, David, and he just got too bogged down by the Farragut Admiral. They did a great job of tracking the ball and got to him early before he could get any forward motion. And the Wildcats turned the ball on down right at the 3-yard line, and we have another injured player on the field.
Let's take a quick timeout. The Wildcats down 21-0. We'll be back to Blankenship Field in 60 seconds.
Had to have that one.
Farragut's going to hand it off up the middle there for nothing. It'll be 2nd down and long. During the commercial break, Farragut ran a play, and they're going to be penalized half the distance to the goal, back to the 2-yard line. The Admirals have it 1st down, 13 yards to go at the 2-yard line. Johnson going to hand it off, and they're pushing back to the end zone. He tries to scoot away, but really only about a yard gained on the play. Tough ball game for the Oak Ridge offense. A couple times inside the 10-yard line, unable to score. The defense has been stellar. I mean, the defense, a couple short fields. Farragut went to drive for 2 of their scores. Other than that, with the exception of the long touchdown pass in the opening drive, the Oak Ridge defense has played very solid ball. Let's see what they can do on this 2nd and 13. Tight formation once again for the Admirals. Johnson's going to just push it forward, and they're getting down to around the 6. It'll be for Farragut. 3rd down and about 9 yards to go for a first. That could be the final play of the third quarter. 30 seconds on the game clock, 33 on the play clock. If I were Coach Eddie Courtney, the longtime coach at Farragut, I wouldn't run another play on that end of the field. I would take it to the fourth quarter.
And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Nice job by Farragut, just really with the awareness, if you will, there. There's no need to run an extra play. You can burn an extra 40 seconds or so by waiting to run this next play at the start of the fourth.
And that is the end of the third quarter. We go to the fourth and final quarter. The Wildcats have a lot of work to get done if they're going to win their their third ball game of the year. 21-0 Farragut. Back to Blankenship Field in 60 seconds. I think if the Wildcats have any shot of coming back and winning this ball game, they have got to make a stop on this play. It is third down, 9 yards to go. Farragut has the ball just across their own 6-yard line. Quarterback Johnson is operating from the 1-yard line. He's got one lone running back, receivers left and right. Third down, 9 yards to go. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to get nothing. Wildcats make the stop at the 6. The Wildcats do get the stop they need, and should have great field position, barring a dropped punt, a fumble of any kind. They'll be punting from their own end zone. It'll be fourth down, 9 yards to go.
Good determination by the Wildcat defense that time, David. Brings up fourth down. The Admirals are coming into punt formation. The Wildcats will be getting the ball. Only man deep for the Wildcats. Amani Embert and Brandon Hayward.
Standing back at the Wildcat 40-yard line. He's punting from his own end zone. Fourth down, 9 yards to go. The snap is good. The punt is away. It's going to be a little shorter than usual, but it takes a great Farragut bounce and then rolls out of bounds and takes a nice carom out of bounds. The Wildcats will have good field position. They'll start this drive at the 42-yard line. Guys, you got to get on the scoreboard here, whether they win or not. You got to show that you can move the ball. Sure, Oak Ridge is without two of their best playmakers in Elijah Rogers. Actually, three if you think Jaden Williams. He hadn't played at all, but Elijah Rogers and Jai Henley. But they have got to generate some offense, and they've got to get it done here in the next 11 minutes and 9 seconds. Wildcat offense on the field once again. Wildcat really quarterback is
ready to go
Sharp.
here.
All but 2 series, he has been the quarterback for the Wildcats here. Wildcats will watch him, a little screen pass dumped out of the backfield to Rimbert. He has no place to go. He tries to cut it back inside, almost got the ball ripped out of his hands. He does fall forward for a gain of about 3. Just a little swing pass out. There was a lot of white shirts there.
There was, and Oak Ridge is really being hurt right now by the fact that they've not been able to establish with any success any sort of action downfield in the passing game. They've tried it a few times with Brandon Hayward to no avail, and right now Farragut's just kind of hedging their bets, if you will, and just saying, hey, Oak Ridge, go over the top if you want, but we're going to play close to the line of scrimmage for these screens, and they're right there all over that one to sniff it out.
3 receivers split to the right for the Wildcats. Second down, 10. 10-21 to play. Rimbert comes in motion. Payton, a straight drop. He's about to get buried. He's going to break the tackle, move the ball at the 40, move the ball to the 39. I thought he was about to get his bell rung, but he was able to elude some guy coming in like a freight train and move the ball across the 40 to the 38-yard line, where it'll be third down and 5 yards to go. Good job by Payton just to get free.
Yeah, it really was. And like you said, he really kind of almost got sacked, and then you thought he was going to take a big lick, and he was able to kind of avoid that and make a defender miss. 3rd and about 5 again, 4-down territory for Oak Ridge. The last time they had a 3rd and manageable with a 4-down upcoming, they decided to take a deep shot. You wonder what they might do here.
9:35 to play in the ball game. Play clock down to 7 seconds. The Wildcats down 3 scores. Peyton's going to look, roll to his left, has some running room, has a man free. If he fires the pass, he's going to get sacked. Wildcats had a receiver standing in the flats on the Oak Ridge sideline around the 30. I looked up at it. There was one guy covering Will down there. He scrambled off to his left side and just couldn't elude the rush, and the Wildcats have it 4th and long again.
Jay Smiley in pursuit that time for Farragut. And David, 4th and 7, under 9 minutes to go, down 21. You pretty much have to have this one.
Right, the Wildcats in the first half had a couple of conversions on 3rd down. See what Peyton can do here. The ball's at the 40. They need to get up to the 32. Peyton, a straight drop. He's about to get sacked, and down he goes around midfield. He just didn't have enough time. They brought everybody, and they came in so strong, and Farragut takes over. 8:37 to play in the ballgame. Wildcat offense struggling to get anything going. 21-0 is our score. 1993, the Wildcats played the Riverdale Warriors and were shut out in that ball game. They went from 1993 all the way till the 2017 season before they were shut out again, and they were shut out at Farragut by the Farragut Admirals. The Wildcats have been shut out in this one. So whatever Farragut's defense has been doing, they really shut down the Wildcats over the last several years. Quarterback Johnson to pass, little pass, incomplete. Mercifully stops the clock for the Wildcats. 8:34 to play here in the ball game. 21-0 the score. The Wildcats, as I've said several times, guys, have had the ball inside the 10-yard line twice and did not come away with any points at all. Defense has been good. Wildcats, 2nd down, 10 yards to go for the Admirals. Ball is not quite to midfield. It's at the 48-yard line. Farragut moving towards Jackson Square. For you Oak Ridgers trying to orient yourself on the radio there. 2nd and 10. Gibbs gets the handoff. He's going to be tackled right around the Oak Ridge sideline on the 47-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. So Farragut very content just to run clock here, and they have done a really good job of that. It'll be 3rd down facing the Admirals, 3rd down and 10.
Nice couple of defensive plays the last couple of times out for this Wildcat defense. A batted pass forced the incompletion 2 plays ago. It was Brian Kelly with pressure straight up the middle. That time, Price Davis, one of the first times we've called his name tonight, he made a nice play upfield.
3rd down, 10 yards to go. The ball is at the Farragut 48-yard line. 7:52 to play in the ball game. Once again, the Wildcats need a stop here. Got to get their hands on the ball. Here comes the quarterback, Johnson, rolling to his right, nearly sacked. He's going to run for it, and he's going to slide forward. He starts his slide where they spot him is not where, honestly, the ball should put. He started his slide back at around the 46-yard line. It'll still be 4th down. 4th down and 3 yards to go. And wisely, Coach Courtney, the veteran coach of many years at Farragut High School, is going to send the punt team in. I know you like going for 4th down plays around this area, but they just need to make the Wildcats, who have not been able to drive the ball down the field at all this year, there's just to pin them back here, and they'll be punting. It'll be 4th down and 2 yards to go. The one thing you don't want, Alex Myers, is to jump off sides right here.
Yeah, you can't afford that, and you're absolutely right. This is a no-brainer for Coach Courtney. You take the clock down, wind it all the way down to 1 second on the play clock. They call a timeout. They're content. Even if Oak Ridge is forced to drive 70, 80 yards and score, there's likely going to be several minutes taken off.
We're going to hold it right here for a second, talk about some of the injured players. The Wildcats, this is a non-region ball game. Obviously, the players that are out are missed, but you have to go with who you've got. Wildcats have a region game next week against Lenore City, against a team that traditionally has not been good the last several years. Then they have an off week after the Lenore City game, and then a road trip to Powell. According to what the doctors have said, the Wildcats at the PAL ball game should get all of their injured players back if something doesn't happen before then. So that's good news. The region games are the important games. You want to beat Farragut, they're a rival. But the region games are what matter. And hopefully all those guys will be back by the PAL game here in 3 weeks at PAL High School. Here comes the punt. A lot of pressure there. He gets the good punt off. It's a little bit too good. It's going to go sailing and go into the end zone. It'll be a touchback. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Admirals. That is the good news. Hopefully we'll have all those guys back for the PAL game, and hopefully they'll be able to be successful with who they have next week against Lenore City to go 2-0 in the region.
Yeah, Mike, Oak Ridge missing so many players. How big is it going to be to get them back?
That's very true. You know, we need these players back. They're mostly skilled players, and it's going to be a big deal to get, you know, Isaiah Rogers back and Connor Cummings. You know, these guys are very good football players, and they're very much missed during the course of the week. And to have them back will be huge for the Wildcats.
Here comes Oak Ridge's offense on the field once again. 6:46 to play in the ball game. Right now, trying to avoid a shutout. The Wildcats have it 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. 4th and final quarter here at Blankenship Field. And a flag goes down right away. The play clock was down to 0. And it is going to be a penalty against the Wildcats. That's just one of those things where the Wildcats just cannot continue to have those things happen to them. Yeah. And back to the 15-yard line. So now it's 1st and 15. 6:46 to play. Wildcats Peyton Sharp at quarterback. Dozier in the backfield. In motion comes Rimbert once again. And it'll be Peyton running the ball himself. And he moves the ball forward. I tell you, he probably should have handed it off there, Alex, to Jarvis, because there was a monstrous hole right in the middle.
You're probably right, and it's actually Nehemiah Elmore into the game for the first time. So Oak Ridge using 3 quarterbacks now, and Nehemiah into the game. Won't be his first action of the year, but just a shot to try to prove himself here and get some reps, because at this point in the game, you're playing with house money. You're probably not going to come back and win this. So if you're Nehemiah, just protect the ball, but go out and try to make a play.
My apologies to Nehemiah. I didn't notice the 4. He's a good running quarterback. 2nd and 10. Here comes lots of pressure, setting up a little screen, and they smelled that out big time. The pass was complete to Jarvis Dozier, but Farragut was not having any of that. It'll be a loss on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 10 yards to go. 5:50 to play in the ball game. Very disappointing night here for the home crowd to witness here at Blankenship Field. Not that the Wildcats haven't played as hard as they could. The effort's been there, but the Wildcats' execution and just too many mistakes to overcome. And, typically Farragut, they don't always have the same kind of athletes or as good of athletes as Oak Ridge, but they're so disciplined, and they seldom make a lot of mistakes. We'll come back and talk about that in a moment. Nehemiah Elmore is a junior player when it played football at Robertsville Middle School. 3rd down, 13 yards to go from the 17. He rolls to his right, looks on the short side of the field, and he dumps a pass on the sideline, and that is incomplete. There was just no room there on that side for anything to happen, and the Wildcats will be forced to punt.
It looked like if he could have held the ball for just a half a second longer, Oak Ridge freshman Will Presley was open downfield and would have had enough space to get that 1st down. But, it's just, again, we talked about it all night. Oak Ridge is just not sharp tonight. And give credit, because, it's not just a lot of it, a whole lot of it has been self-inflicted, but not all of it. Farragut's done a nice job in containment. They've done a nice job getting a pressure to the Oak Ridge quarterbacks, sort of creating some of these rush decisions and bad throws at times. It's just not been Oak Ridge's night.
Brennan Pearson is in the ball game. It's 4th and 13. No pressure. The punt is away. It's a short one. Wobbly kick heading towards the Oak Ridge sideline. It's across midfield. The Wildcats probably need to down it before it takes a bounce across. It'll be down at the 49-yard line, and that is where Farragut will take over. 1st down, 10 yards to go. 4 minutes, 55 seconds to play. The Wildcats down 21-0. 2 turnovers directly resulting in touchdowns for the Farragut Admirals. A good drive, penalties, and such on the first drive. And they had really, if you look at it, Alex and Mike, their first drive was really the only sustained drive, and it was about an 80-yard drive, I guess. The rest were just short fields at the Wildcats after Wildcat turnovers. Don't mean to be negative, but that's just the facts. Farragut, first down, 10 yards to go. A little quick pass, incomplete. Deflected perhaps to the line because he went sailing over. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Ball tipped off the hands of Hank DeVault for the Farragut Admirals. Brings up 2nd and 10 for the Admirals now. 4:51 left here in the ball game. Oak Ridge trailing 21-0.
A lot of the fans beginning to file out of Blankenship Field here on the home side. 2nd and 10. Hand off to the back, and he finds great running room right up the gut. He's got a first down and more. He just lowers his shoulder and moves the ball all the way to the Oak Ridge 30. That was a really, really fine run by their running back, number 22 for them, and that is, once again, Trey Lockhart. He is 5'10", 170-pound junior player. He just kind of cradled the ball and just went straight up the gut. And the Oak Ridge defense guys, they've got to be gassed because they've been out on the field most of the game.
That's exactly what's going on, David. They are gassed. And then the Admirals were running the ball with a new running back, and they just couldn't tackle him.
He carries the ball again, just has a great body lean across the 25 up to the 23, down to 4:08 to play in the football game here at Blankenship Field, 21-0, the Farragut Admirals. I've mentioned this before, 1993 to 2017, the Wildcats were not shut out. They haven't been shut out since 2017 when Farragut did it, and the Farragut is 3 minutes and 49 seconds away from posting their second shutout of the Wildcats in the last 5 years. Quarterback is going to be eluding a tackle, moving the ball across the 20-yard line, right around the sticks, and it should be a close to and should be a first down for them. 3:36 to play. One thing you cannot be disappointed in is the foul. The crowd here was big for Oak Ridge. The band has been playing continuously all night. The student section enormous, and they have been in it from start to finish. And it's always disappointing when you lose, but in front of what has been a great atmosphere for high school football, very, very disappointing.
No lack of enthusiasm from the Wildcat fans, David, no doubt about it. They've been in this game all night long.
First down, 10 yards to go. The ball at the Oak Ridge 19-yard line. A high snap, handoff to the back, and this time doesn't have much room. He was able to squirt maybe to the 17. Waters was the first man to hit him. Blake Steed and company. Brian Kelly, of course, is always around every play, just about. Well, the Wildcats a little slow to get up. I think that's Bashawn Knowles, but he's okay. Gain of 2. Second down, 8 yards to go. The ball is at the Wildcats 17. 3:05 to play in the ball game. 21-0 Farragut. We've been on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. If you like what you see, we know we had a little bit of audio issues early on. Please subscribe. Every time we come on live with a broadcast, you will be notified. That's just subscribe to us. We'd appreciate that. We're also on FM 92.7. Brian Bennett has been at the station. Handoff goes once again to the back. He breaks the first wave, but the Wildcats finally get him down. Just kind of as he made a cut on the grain, Blake Steed, a tackle right at the 15-yard line. It'll be for Farragut. Third down and long. 3rd and 8 at the 15-yard line. 2:24 to play in the ballgame. Clock still moving to 15 and counting. 21-0 the score. The Wildcats would like a stop here. I don't want to let them put another score on the board. It's already 21-0. Looks bad enough. Wildcats in no hurry to stop the clock there. Head off to the back, and I thought he was going to go much farther. Then he just got stood up by the Wildcats and then driven down hard to the turf by number 20, Bashawn Knowles, and number 33, Brian Kelly. And now the Wildcats are going to call a timeout. It is 4th down and 6. We'll take a quick break. 21-0 Farragut. Back to Blankenship Field in 30 seconds. David Clary along with Alex Myers and Mike Sheehan back here, Drew Thomas, Josh Frazier, Alex Baraxa, Colin James. We appreciate Colin doing our camera work up top. He did it. He's never done it before for us. We needed somebody at the last moment. He stepped up for us, and we appreciate him. Brian Bennett at the station, Mark and Shauna Haste, our statisticians. Play is halted again. It's 4th and 6 for the Admirals. The ball is at the Wildcat 15, a minute 56 to play in the ballgame. The Wildcats have used, as Alex said earlier, 3 different quarterbacks. They started with Peyton Sharp. They had him. They also had in the ballgame Ethan Garza for a couple series and Nehemiah Elmar. Wildcats yet to generate any points on the board. They're going to go for a field goal. They'll put the block down at the 22-yard line, making this a 33-yard kick, and the Wildcats move across the line. I don't know if they were drawn off sides, but there was movement across the line. 1:56 to play, and flags went down. They were penalized 5 yards, so it'll be 4th down and a yard to go. And looks like they're going to continue to keep the kick team on. Not sure. Yes, they're going to put the block down now at the 17-yard line. They call it a block. I don't know what it is. That's where they're going to kick it from. 21-0 our score as they go for a field goal to make it 24-0. From the left hash, as he looks at it, he's a right-footed kicker, is number 14. And here's the snap. It's good. The kick is away, and it looks good. Splits the uprights, and Farragut leads Oak Ridge 24-0 with a minute 49 to play in the ballgame. We'll take a quick break. We'll send it back to the station. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Okay, go ahead.
Keep your radio on, because I'll be able to talk to you.
I will.
Welcome back to Blankenship Field, 24-0. The Wildcats with a minute 49 to get on the scoreboard here. Here's the kick. It's a little squib kick. It's going to go bounding into the end zone, and that is where Oak Ridge will take over after the touchback. 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. One of the Wildcats down on the play. While we have an injury timeout, let's send it back to Brian once again. 24-0. The Wildcats trail. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Check the score, Mike. The score? They got 24. You update that?
I don't know how to change it. Sorry. I'll get out of your way. And Alex went down to the field. He needs to show me how to do this.
Just go to here.
Thank you, Mark.
Sorry, I didn't think about that. It's late. Can you,
David Clary back here along with Alex Myers, Mike Sheehan, and a host of others here at Blankenship Field, the injured Wildcat. About to get on his feet, I believe. Guys, very disappointing night here from Blankenship Field, but a lot of football to be played the rest of the way. Looks like Price Palmer. I can't quite see if that's number 80 who's coming off the field, but a lot of football to be played this season.
Oh, yeah, we got lots of games left, 6 games, you know, and a lot of football to be played. You know, it's just chalk this up as not a good night for the Wildcats. They have to get back together and regroup, get ready for the Lenore City Panthers coming here next week because that is a regional ball game. Panthers not near the team that we've been playing, so hopefully we won't be anything like this next week.
Thank you, Mike. Here come the
Alex gone
Wildcats
down
once
on the
again.
field,
First and
David,
10. The ball will be at the 20-yard line. 1:49 to play. The Wildcats have 2 of their timeouts remaining. They're down 24-0. Wildcats first down, 10 yards to go. Nehemiah Elmore at quarterback for the Wildcats from the 20. Wildcats, here's the snap and the handoff straight up the gut. Good run for the Wildcats. Gain of 5 on the play. Carrying the football for the Wildcats was, I'm looking for the number, looks like Jarius Hundley. Jerry Hundley carries the ball. That's the brother of Jai Hundley. He's a junior player for the Wildcats. His brother Jai is a senior. Gain of 5. Second down, 5 yards to go. Alex Myers will be down on the field after the ball game. He'll have a conversation with Scott Cummings. We'll also have Mike's scoring summary, and we'll have Mark and Shauna's stats. Second down, 5 yards to go from the 15-yard line. 1:10 to play. Little quick pass across the way is caught for a first down. A 10 Bank of Oak Ridge first down at the 33-yard line. Nice little crisp pass there by Nehemiah Elmore to the freshman Will Presley. Nice throw, nice catch. Once again, the Wildcats have it. First down, 10 yards to go. Under a minute to play. 52 seconds to play in the ball game. Nehemiah Elmore, first down, 10. Wildcats running it. A little running room there. Moving the ball up to around the 39-yard line. The Wildcats just playing it out. And that was, I thought it was Coates who was carrying the ball, but it might have been Hundley once again. We're down to 32 seconds to play. Second down and 10 yards to go. 24-0 Farragut. The Wildcats beat Clinton last week. They have a victory over South Doyle, but they are going to lose to Farragut tonight. Another quick pass, and it's going to be caught. Moving the ball up the field for a 10 Bank of Oak Ridge first down. The clock still runs, though, an extra 3 seconds off the clock. Electric clock operator wants to go home. The ball is at the 48-yard line. Brandon Hayward there on the stop, or the catch for the Wildcats. It'll be 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. The game will come to an end without the Wildcats getting a play off. Your final score here from Blankenship Field, the Wildcats are defeated by the Farragut Admirals, who improved their record to 2-2 on the year. Victories over Beach and Oak Ridge, losses to West and to Maryville. The Wildcats fall to 2-2. Victories over South Doyle and Clinton, and losses to Farragut and the Bearden Bulldogs, 6A schools. But you play who you play, and Wildcats fall to the Farragut Admirals 24-0, and what was not a pretty ball game if you're a Wildcat fan, but a lot of football to be played, and I know the guys are disappointed. But the bright spot, there were several bright spots. I thought the defense was really sharp. I thought they played incredibly well offensively. Turnovers, a couple of them. They had a turnover on special teams. Way too many penalties for sure that hurt them in crucial situations. Just not a pretty night if you're a Wildcat fan, but Lenore City comes to town. Hopefully they'll make the Wildcats better. Mike?
Absolutely, David. Thank you very much. Just wasn't meant to be tonight for the Wildcats. I hate it when that happens. And, you know, to go from 2017 to now, you got to be really proud of not being shut out in that many games they played. But sometimes things just happen, and tonight wasn't just the night for the Wildcats. Hopefully they can regroup, come back next Friday night and get back on track, get back in this region. It's really not going to hurt them that terribly bad. We haven't lost a regional game yet, and it's for the playoffs. That's what it's all about, winning these regional games. We'll see, but we got a rough road to hoe, especially at Powell. That ought to be a whale of a game, David. Powell's got a very good team this year. And then on up the road, the Wildcats are not going to have it easy, but it's very doable. I mean, this especially if we get our hurt players back on the field, we can be a very tough team to be dealt with.
Why don't you run down the
Myers
scoring
has gone
summary? The
down on the
Wildcats
field
falling to
for
Farragut 24-0.
Yeah, Alex Myers has gone down on the field to do player interviews here in a little bit as they're grouping right now together with Coach Cummings. He's giving them the post-game talk as we speak. I'll go ahead and go down and do the scoring summary, David. Regretfully for the Wildcats, we're not in this. But to start the game off, Luke Johnson threw a 43-yard pass to Jordan Shepard for the Admirals, and they're going ahead 6-0 with 7:15 left in the first quarter. Reese Kennery, their kicker, came in and kicked it between the uprights, and the Admirals led 7-0. Then, with 1:09 left in the first quarter, Elijah Gibbs ran one in from 3 yards out and put the Admirals up 13-0. Reese Kennery again came in and kicked the ball between the uprights, and the Wildcats trailed 14-0. Then in the third quarter, regretfully, Dozier fumbled the ball on the 33-yard line of the Admirals, and they slowly and methodically drove the ball down to the 3-yard line where Elijah Gibbs ran the ball in and put the Admirals up 20-0. Reese Kennery again came in and kicked the ball between the uprights, and the Admirals were up 21-0. Then after a big defensive battle in the fourth quarter, Hudson Creamer came in for the Admirals and kicked a 17-yard field goal to add the final 3 points of the game and give the Admirals a 24-0 victory here on Blankenship Field. Much to our disappointment. We're going to take a 3-minute timeout, and we'll be back after this break.
Welcome back here to Blankenship Field. Alex Myers on the field level with sophomore safety Dallas Frent. Dallas, you had, when you go back to look at the film, one of the real only highlight moments that at least that stood without penalty in this ball game was an interception, I believe, late in that first half. Talk us through that play. I think it's your first of the year.
Absolutely. We were just running a cover 2. I had my eyes on number 2 man. He ran a kind of like a post. I was on his back hip. I went under the ball and picked it off. Ran into the sideline, kind of stopped the clock, maybe buy our offense some time.
Your offense struggled, and that's no secret. Anybody who watched and Coach, I'm sure, will admit that as well. Defensively, you guys didn't play a perfect game, but I thought you guys kind of gave yourselves a shot to hang in there for a while. I thought a lot of that had to do with the defensive line, the linebackers getting in there, forcing pressure early to force some of those errant throws. Talk about that.
Absolutely. All praises to them. They worked super hard in practice, and yeah, they played a great game. Safeties helped pick some of the slack up. So all praises to them, though.
This wasn't a region game. That's really one of the only positives that Coach Cummings was saying you could take from this game, and that is a big positive because that's what ultimately impacts the playoff seedings, etc. As you look at the scoreboard, as you go home to get ready for a new week and focus on Lenoir City next week, a region game, what do you take out of this week? How do you move forward? And ultimately, like I said, what do you take from this game?
We just gotta be a team. I know a lot of players had some comments about not being focused before the game, and I think that's the biggest thing. Just focus before the game, lock in, hard week of practice, and come back next Friday and take a win. So,
Dallas Frent, thank you so much.
thank you.
Always appreciative of players giving us time, period, but especially after tough losses like this one. I know it's not always the most fun thing to do, but we will, again, say we appreciate it. Alex Myers down here with our cameraman Josh, who has joined us new this year. We appreciate him helping and everybody helping as we patiently await Coach Scott Cummings, who we will meet with in just a moment. As again, final score, Farragut 24, Oak Ridge 0. As David Clary, you mentioned a moment ago, this is the first time, just the second time rather, the Wildcats have been shut out since 1993. And so both of those times have come in the last 5 years, both of which have come at the hands at Farragut. First in 2017, it was at Farragut, and this time, of course, here at home at Blankenship Field. David, as we wait on Coach Cummings, I'm going to toss it to you just real quickly. As you can see me down here, so as soon as he's ready, I'll wave at you. As we'll actually keep it down here at the field level, as I think David stepped away, and so that's what we say in the trade. My bad to toss it up to him empty-handed like that. As we look around and you know, I'm talking to my cameraman Josh, and those listening at home, I'm looking at Bryce Palmer, who is visibly shaken up after this one. He's got some crutches. And that's one of the things that Oak Ridge talked about is we've got to get healthy and we've got to get back. And so many of the injuries, unfortunately, have really not been contact injuries where you think, oh, there's a hit and that guy's going to be hurt. A lot of it's almost been these freak injuries where sometimes the ground causes the break or the ground causes the injury. And unfortunately for the Wildcats, not only have the injuries come early and often, but they've come to key positions and key players and really playmakers at the skill position. And so that's what Coach Cummings has harped on really since that jamboree where his son is starting defensive back and wide receiver got hurt was, look, we got to get these guys back. We've got to get healthy. But until then, a lot of younger guys having to play for Oak Ridge and doing so with a lot of success, just not necessarily here tonight. It was a struggle from the start. Oak Ridge moved the ball. If you weren't with us in the first half, the Wildcats moved the ball up and down the field, got inside the 10-yard line on one of their opening drives of the ball game. But because of penalties, because of turnovers, really weren't never able to get up on the scoreboard. And you heard Dallas Frent talking about the defensive effort and how, you know, you look at the scoreboard and say, wow, they gave up 24 points. That's kind of a lot. The problem is, one of those plays, possessions, they only gave up about 8 yards. But the problem was it was off of a turnover, and Farragut only needed 8 yards to get into the end zone and find dirt. They did that. Again, final score, 24-0, Farragut on top of Oak Ridge. And as I'm awaiting Coach Scott Cummings, he is ready. And so we're going to not try to take up too much of his time. Coach, appreciate you joining us. Immediate thoughts after that game. I know it's got to be disappointing. A lot of mistakes tonight. I heard you talking to your team about a lot of these issues, the self-created. Talk about tonight's game.
Very disappointing, on a lot of levels. We've got to be more disciplined and not keep shooting ourselves in the foot all the time. I mean, that's just the bottom line, and that starts, right here. I'm the head coach. I've got to figure out a way to not let that happen. So on Sunday, we will definitely be trying to figure that out, but we got to be coachable. Like, we told Monty, put your heels on the 10 and do not back up. Muffs it on the 6. I love Monty to death. He's a tremendous player, but we got to just follow simple directions, and, we had open receivers in the first half. We got post route wide open, and we throw a line drive and overthrow it and don't let him run underneath it. And, we got to correct these things, and we got to have guys make plays for us.
Quarterback position was something that was highly talked about this offseason. Peyton came in, has looked pretty good through 4 games. He struggled a little bit in the first half. You took him out, ended up playing a couple of other guys. Where does that situation stand, or is that sort of up in the air at this point?
Well, Peyton's done a good job. I mean, overall, he has. At times he holds the ball, a little bit too long and needs to let it go. Or on fourth and 8, when we're just trying to throw a jump ball situation on all verts, can't take a sack. You gotta let it go, so things like that. But he's done a good job overall. Ethan Garza throws such a quick ball. He gets the ball in and out quickly. And so Ethan's we thought, man, let's try to get the ball in and out of his hands and get it to our guys and let them create a little bit. But then, he's got to come along with the mechanics of the entire offense. And then, Nehemiah Elmore, he mechanically runs things well, but, they all have great attributes in certain things, and so we're just trying to find a spark there and find the best one that, can do it all the best. And right now it's, Peyton's still our guy. But, we've got to continue to grow with the other quarterbacks and push him.
What do you take from this game? I know you were talking about one of the only positives you have coming out of this game is it wasn't a region game. And so ultimately, when it comes to the playoffs, this game doesn't necessarily affect that win or loss. What do you take from this game, and how quickly do you turn the page to Lenore City next week?
Well, I mean, I've only had one shutout in my career. So, this is unacceptable, to score no points with the production of offense we had. We got to finish. We got to eliminate the penalties in crucial times. We can't fumble the ball coming out of halftime. We did some good things. We really did some good things. But we've got to clean up all the other stuff and hope when we get our players back from, injuries, we can be really good. The fact is, imagine you got Elijah Rogers out there, at receiver wide and Brandon on the other side and, Connor Cummings doing his thing and Jaden Williams doing his thing and Jai Hundley doing his thing. And then you put it together with what we're already doing, we can be really special, especially in 5A. 6A tends to have a few more linemen than we got depth-wise right now. And that's something that in 5A we don't have to face every week. So we got to stay the course. We did some really good things, but we got to come in Monday ready to work and not accept it.
All right, thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
David, with that, I will send it back to you. This is Alex Myers on the field level. Thanks again to Dallas Frent and Coach Scott Cummings. David?
24-0 is the final score. We're waiting for Mark to finish his final stats, so we'll take a quick break here. The Wildcats defeated, but they will take on Lenore City next week here at Blankenship Field. It is homecoming, and we'll have the the Hall of Fame inductions as well, and hopefully a win over Lenoir City. Mark and Shauna about ready with the stats. We'll take one quick timeout. When we come back, hopefully we'll have the stats. 24-0 Farragut. We'll be back to Blankenship Field in 3 minutes.
Mark, how close are you? Okay.
David Clary back here at Blankenship Field, where Farragut has just defeated Oak Ridge by a final score of 24-0. We bring Mark Haste in here. He's got the final statistics of tonight's ball game. Mike to work here. Mark?
Not working for whatever.
Marquez back here at Blankenship Field, where Oak Ridge falls to the Farragut Admirals tonight, 24-0. Looking at the statistics, first for Oak Ridge, they're led on the ground by Jovis Dozier. He had 110 yards on 15 carries. Alamani Rembrandt had 39 yards on 5 carries. Sirius Flowers had a 13-yard carry. Jerry Hunley had a 5-yard carry. Nehemiah Elmore had a 5-yard carry as well. Quarterback Peyton Sharp carried the ball 6 times, netting minus 23 yards on the ground. So as a team, the Wildcats rushed the ball 29 times, totaling 149 yards on the ground. That's an average of 5.1 yards per carry. Quarterbacking tonight, the starter was Peyton Sharp. He was 7 of 13 for 61 yards. Also coming in the game in the second quarter, Ethan Garza, he was 4 of 6 for 27 yards. And then late in the game was Nehemiah Elmore. He was 3 of 4 for 20 yards. So as a team, the Wildcats were 14 of 23 for 108 yards through the air. Receiving for the Wildcats, they were led by Brandon Hayward. He had 5 receptions for 72 yards. That's an average of 14 yards per catch. His long tonight was 25 yards to Jovis Dozier. He had 2 receptions totaling 13 yards. Will Presley, he had 2 receptions for 9 yards. Alamani Rembert, 3 receptions for 7 yards. And Izzy Mitchell had 2 receptions for 7 yards. Looking at the team as a whole, on the ground, Oak Ridge had 149 yards on 29 carries. They had 108 receiving yards on 14 receptions for a total offense tonight of 257 yards. They had 12 first downs in the ballgame. They were penalized 8 times for 55 yards. Their time of possession tonight was 27 minutes and 53 seconds. Also, Oak Ridge had 4 fumbles in the game. They lost 3 of them. That's in my opinion, one of the big differences right there, the turnovers. Looking now at Farragut, they were led on the ground by Elijah Gibbs. He has 96 yards on 17 carries. Troy Lockhart, 29 yards on 5 carries. Ashton Oker had an 8-yard carry. Luke Johnson with an 8 yards on 3 carries. Barrett Smith, 5 yards on 1 carry. And then Andrew Celeste had a 2-yard carry. So as a team, the Admirals rushed the ball 28 times, totaling 148 yards on the ground. That's an average of 5.3 yards per carry. So very even rushing yards on the night for both Oak Ridge and Farragut through the air. Starting quarterback for Farragut, Luke Johnson, he was 8 of 13 for 74 yards with 1 interception. And then late in the game, Barrett Smith got some playing time in the fourth quarter. He was 0 of 1 on the night. So as a team, the Admirals were 8 of 14 for 74 yards with 1 interception. Receiving for the Admirals, they were led by Jordan Shepard. He had a 43-yard touchdown reception. Landis Davila had 2 receptions for 22 yards. Hank DeVault, he had a 6-yard reception. Elijah Gibbs with a 4-yard reception. Gunter had a 1-yard reception. And then Ashton Oker had 2 receptions, netting minus 2 yards. So as a team, the Admirals had 148 yards on the ground on 28 carries. They had 74 yards through the air on 8 receptions for a total offense tonight of 222 yards. Farragut Admirals earned 7 first downs in the ballgame. Only 2 penalties for the Admirals for totaling 8 yards. And their time of possession was 20 minutes and 7 seconds. So looking at the team side by side, Oak Ridge rushing yards, they had 149, Farragut 148. Through the air, Oak Ridge 108, Farragut 74. Total offense, Oak Ridge had 257 total offensive yards, Farragut with 222. First downs, Oak Ridge 12, Farragut 7. Penalties, Oak Ridge 8. Penalties for 55 yards. Farragut, 2 penalties for 8 yards. Again, Farragut had, let's look at turnovers. Farragut had 1 interception. Oak Ridge had 4 fumbles. 3 of them were lost. Time of possession, Oak Ridge, 27 minutes, 53 seconds. Farragut, 20 minutes and 7 seconds. Again, this Marquez where Oak Ridge falls to Farragut, 24-0. Alex?
Thank you very much, Mark. As we start to wrap things up here, Mike Sheehan has exited the building Elvis style, so I will just give my final thoughts. Again, just a very tough game to be a part of if you're an Oak Ridge fan, a very tough game, kind of on the eyes, to be honest with you. As you know, it would have been one thing if Oak Ridge would have just gotten blown out and Farragut just dominated. And on the scoreboard they did, but if you were here and watched the game, what's so frustrating is that Oak Ridge hung around and they played with them. The problem is that whenever they would get ready to score, they would ultimately turn the ball over or get penalties that would end drives early. And that's what's most frustrating is you feel like if Oak Ridge had played a clean game, this could have been a very different story. But that's football. You make your breaks, and sometimes that works for you. Sometimes it works against you. And tonight it certainly worked against the Wildcats. As Farragut goes on top, 24-0. For Mike Sheehan, I'm Alex Myers. Thank you to Mark Haste for doing the stats. That's it for us. Now, Dave, I'll send it back to you to wrap things up.
Thanks a lot, Alex. I appreciate all of your all's help tonight. Myself, Alex Myers, and Mike Sheehan doing the bulk of the play-by-play here of the ball game. Our camera personnel tonight, we had Josh Frazier, we had Drew Thomas, we had Colin James, and we had Alex Baraxa. Brian Bennett back to the studios. Mark and Shauna Hayes, as usual, are statisticians. Our next broadcast of Oak Ridge High School football will be coming up this coming Friday, the 16th, I believe, of September. The Lenoir City Panthers coming to play the Wildcats. It's homecoming. It's Oak Ridge Sports Hall of Fame induction night. The kickoff of the ball game will be at 7:30. As Coach Cummings said, as Alex said, it is a region ball game. This was not one tonight. You want to win them all, but the ones that matter to the playoffs are those region ball games, and that will be one coming up next Friday. For all the people I mentioned before, our final score here from Blankenship-Field, Farragut, unfortunately, if you're a Wildcat fan, defeats Oak Ridge 24-0. Till next week, this is David Clary saying so long, everybody.
No, you're good. Just don't let me take your phone because our phones look very similar. I think this is mine, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you get that if you want, and then you go ahead and head back on.
Appreciate you, Alan.